All right, it is now time for raising funds for World Domination, day number 129. So we're back after a technical glitch yesterday. So yesterday I actually just did a short stream from my mobile phone just to test that it was working, because I booted up my the PC I used to actually stream from, and for some reason it did not detect like any devices. It didn't even detect the monitor or anything. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong, so I later I actually rebooted it like 3 or 4 times and it didn't come back. And then later, after I did that brief stream, I tried to do it again, just reboot it again, and it just magically worked. And I looked through the logs, and I think what happened was it installed the automatic like unattended updates, and there was a thing in there from tried to install some. I tried to upgrade like the NVIDIA drivers or something, and that failed. So then it, I guess along with other like Linux headers or something, instead it just left something unconfigured. And then I guess what happened was after when I rebooted a few times, at some point, I guess it re-ran the updates or rolled back or something. So then that just fixed everything. And then I did some more updates, and it just kind of magically started working again. So I think it was a bad failed update. But it seems like it's working now. So once again with this series, we are working toward the next release of the terminal block mining game, which we'll be doing tonight. I've been saying for a while I'm working on a new video. The script, as if say I'm going to cut it off there, it's finished. And I've taken some steps toward getting my camera set up for filming for tomorrow. So I will actually hopefully begin making progress on getting that recorded and start the editing, and hopefully get that shipped out soon. Oh yeah, I guess the other note is so I'm going to do a new release soon. I need to figure out ways to monetize. So I think one of the things I'll do is periodically offer sponsorships for custom block types in the block mining game. And I think first off, it would make sense if so for anyone out there who has been a long-term member, or or you've super chatted me, say at least like $20, if you would like a custom block type. So I'm going to start with natural minerals. So someone yesterday asked for titanium. So there'll be first come, first serve. And if you've been supported me financially in the past, then I think you're more than entitled to a sponsored block type with you can put your name on it or a moniker or something. So check I think it's actually 2 community posts ago. So check my community page with some more information on that. Okay, and the next issue I was working on was an issue with the top left-hand corner chest printing. I think that's actually fixed. So I haven't seen that in a couple days. More profiling to figure out where slowness comes from. So I could probably even just so right now, and actually last night, I just went ahead and did a little bit more work toward this end. The next thing to make faster is the calculate occlusions function. There's a few optimizations that I think I can do with that. So that involved that involves making improvements to how multi-column characters are specified. So previously, or what I'm doing right now is for a multi-column character, for the column width, in the first column, I just specified the total width of the character, and then in the remaining entries, I just put 0, and I'm going to change that to a convention of if it's a multi-column character, the second column will have it'll use negative values, but it'll be a negative value where the number indicates it'll indicate how far into the character it is and how many characters you're gonna have to move back. So it'll be basically, so for a 2-column character it'll be 2 and then -1, and then for a 3-column character it'll be 2, or it'll be 3, -1, -2. And using that information, instead of just having zeros, I can tell the difference between an area of the screen that's part of a multi-column character versus one that's empty. And currently I cannot, if I just look at a random column, I can't tell the difference. And once that change, I will work on making that update tonight probably. And then once that is done, then I can actually make a couple of the changes that I'll hopefully make. I can actually delete a bunch of code once I implement that. So we'll test it out. All right, the game still works. So just make sure tests pass for good measure. I think they do. Looks like the I guess the last night's stream, or the I don't know, missing the cadence messes up the algorithm. There's only 2 concurrent viewers now. It's usually like 10 to 20. It's interesting how that works. I wonder what it is about the algorithm. If it's maybe like sampling the lower retention in the last stream. It's weird. Sometimes I'll see it. It'll just have like a really low number of viewers, and then all of a sudden it just like throws a whole bunch of people in. Maybe it's like sampling it to see if the stream is any good, and then if people watch it, then I'll say, okay, we can let more people in. All right, tests look like they pass. All right, so first I'll look for references of that function. Let's see, how do I initialize? Yeah, I guess on initialization, I don't have to think about anything. So that's right. All right, so all references are in the screen layer class and the test. Wow, I'm first for once. Yes, congrats. And number one. Yeah, last night I had a technical glitch, so I didn't. I actually just did a stream from my phone. I wonder if it. I wonder if maybe it changed the prediction, so it's like there's a different audience set when I stream from the mobile device. I haven't streamed from that phone in a while, so it's like the algorithm is figuring out who to recommend the stream to, because it was at like 1 or 2 people for a while. I'm watching you live while live. Are you part of the hype button? I don't know. Are you a part of the hype button? I've heard there is some like hype feature where you can release a new video and get people to hype it. I've never looked into that. All right, that works. New feature on mobile. Oh, okay. You need to be monetized. My channel is monetized. Are you saying I should monetize the stream, or you have to be monetized to use the feature? You mean? Ascent mindset says no. Ask for consent for world domination. Okay, sure. Oi. If you dominate the entire world, I'd call 91Q or 911. Yeah, but what if I also control 911? So if I dominate the entire world, the dispatch will call me, and they'll be like, "Oh, don't worry, it's no worries, it's no problem." Please stop. But I wanna. I mean, if other people get to take over the world, then I should be allowed to as well. It's only fair. Please consent first. It isn't right. All right, I'll just ask everyone nicely if they consent to me allowing to take over the world. So I'll start by you first. Are you okay if I take over the world? Just like a little bit. I promise I'll be nice. Where can I donate for a full world domination? There's an icon. Actually, it's actually just down by in the chat here. There's a little $sign. You can click on that, and then you can send super chats and super stickers to support world domination. Let's just say, hypothetically, I had the funds. I need the hope is to get around $12 billion to get started. Are you going to lead world domination? Yep, I got it all planned out. I have a video. If you check out my channel, I have a video called my plans for world domination, and that's the video where I go into detail about the entire plan. Check your balance. Oh, you just wired the funds? Excellent. I'll check it tomorrow. How to make a CPU guy. Yep, that's me. First, get a rock. Then smash the rock. Now you've got 98% concentrated silicon dioxide. Right, that might work. I was about to donate $12 billion, but then I saw that your video is full of AI-generated pics where you sent on a mission to destroy humanity by ChatGPT. I think the pictures are those are important to illustrate my points. So if I don't have the pictures, then it's just hard to convey the ideas. So I could hire an artist, but if I wanted to hire an artist, it would just be like totally infeasible. It would take thousands of dollars to produce that artwork with an artist. But I can get rough mock-ups with well, actually it wasn't free. I had to pay for a ChatGPT subscription otherwise it was incredibly slow. Now let's see if this will totally crash. Hopefully it does not. Nice, look at that. Amazing. Robert, what was the image generation time before and after paying for ChatGPT? Curious about this. It wasn't so much about the time. It was without paying. I would get like a couple of prompts, and then it would be like you've exceeded your quota. I think after I paid, I don't think it actually slowed it. I don't think it actually sped it up at all. To be honest, actually at the start, when I first paid for it, I think there's some kind of back-end process that took like, I don't know, a few hours or maybe even a day. Because when I paid for it, I started. So I was trying to change my prompt, and then it's like you're out of the quota. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just pay. It's worth it, $30 for me a month. And then I tried again, and I kept getting like internal server errors. Like it would spend like 3 minutes generating, and it would look like it's going to generate, and then it would just like crash internally. And there were a few of the first few images like where I could see most of the image, and it was about to finish it, and it actually looked like it was finished, and then it would just say like there was some sort of technical error. Try again later. And actually, even after paying for the $30 a month plan, I still get rate limited. So I can do quite a few more iterations now. So I could do, I think maybe like around 15. I can't remember exactly. There's maybe like 15 or 20 iterations of it asking for an image, and then it'll say you've hit your rate limit, and then I have to. I think it'll be like maybe a couple hours or something. I have to wait until like. That's even on the paid plan. Dodging the AI overlord accusation. I guess you have been sent by ChatGPT. For real, 30-second drawing using MS Paint would be better than AI generated. I don't think so. I think there's like lots of specific details. Like the generating those AI generated images was actually the most time consuming process of making that video. It took me, because like for every one of those images, I would have to ask the AI to maybe generate maybe like 20 or 30 images until I got one that actually contained the information I wanted. And every generation takes like 5 minutes or something. So it's making the AI images is way more time consuming than a 30-minute MS Paint drawing. AI images are very useful. Makes sense. You incorporate them. Ever thought about uploading your game code base and asking AI to add some very complex features just to see? So it is actually on it's on GitHub. There's a link. There should be a link right in the description. And I'm not sure if you need an account, or I think other people have access to the same feature. I think it's probably possible. I guess if you have a GitHub account, probably you can probably just scroll down, and then you can use what's it called, Copilot. You can ask Copilot specific questions about the code, and a few people have a few times when I was working on stuff. People would come in and ask about people would go and they said that they tried the feature, and they would ask me about something I'm working on, and for the most part, in my opinion, most of the results are not useful. Duality of YouTube chat. We have a new feature request on GitHub for a modding API. Maybe there's the code is there, so the code, you can always just start editing the code. That's allowed under the proprietary license. But yeah, I have actually not yet got around to like doing a serious try of AI, but some of the preliminary stuff, like there are things like maybe like finding improvements and stuff like that. I could think it could probably do some stuff like that. Although honestly, I have on the offhand tried it a few times, and then other people have tried it for me. Like they've said like, you know, suggest an improvement, and then it would suggest an improvement at something that's, you know, not relevant. Or it said one thing I was doing was like a design pattern, but it was a code smell, but I actually did it very deliberately that way for a reason. The modding API provides a non-code based interface like Dwarf Fortress. Text-based API. Modding API, a non-code based interface? I don't know. I'm not sure what that would look like. That's interesting. I would not expect this to pass. Oh, actually, maybe. We'll see when it finishes. 6IL Berm says, hey, how's it going? I found the easiest way to use AI, if you aren't really interested in giving it a whole code base, is if you just ask it to make an isolated example. Even if it's bad, it can be inspiring. Yeah, I think I could definitely see some use cases for it. I have not necessarily leveraged the the killer use case. Like most of the day-to-day coding, like the every day when I work on this project, the stuff that I want to do, I know exactly what I want to do, and I know exactly how to accomplish it. But if I ask the AI, like it'll be a lot of work to explain to the AI how to do what I want to do. So it's easier just to do it myself. And if I ask the AI, it'll get like kind of stuck on like the general approach. Like I think it's it could be really, I can see how AI coding would be extremely good for newer programmers who don't really know how to approach the problem. That passed all the test cases. I did not expect that to work. Something must be off. Oh, there we go. It did fail. That's good. That means it's working. Newer programmers, or if you get brain lock, writer's block, just having a sounding board. Who can whine? Yeah, I think for brainstorming, it's definitely good. I would say the I've thought about, of course, people bring up the question of AI and what I think about it a lot. So I've kind of rehashed this question from a few different ways. The way I think about it now is computer programming in like 1970 was like, it was like one thing. There was one kind of operation. Or even if you just think about like the basic, text typing of programs, there was like, to write a program, it was one kind of, there was one kind of software, there was one kind of compiler, it was one specific task. But then eventually when like debuggers came out, the task of writing the program and debugging a program, like actually stepping through with the debugger, that is a different task, and it requires like different knowledge. It's a different like typing the program is about knowing how to press the letters, how to spell the syntax and stuff like that. But then stepping through a debugger is a completely different kind of task. You have to like recognize what you see on the screen. You have to understand what a breakpoint is and stuff like that. Understanding register states and all that kind of stuff. And quirks of the debugger. And so that's a different task. But then as programming has gotten more complex, the number of things that you do when you program has increased. So another thing that you do, like when you're programming, when you get a job as a programmer, is you will commit code. So you will do a git diff, you do git status, you'll cherry pick a commit from something else, you'll do a branch merge. That, like doing a branch merge, that is not programming. That is a different type of task. And then you can kind of, even the process of writing the code, a lot of it's like generating getters and setters. That in itself is, if you're not necessarily writing the code, it's a different thing. And AI, the introduction of AI, it automates and substantially improves a subset of those tasks that you do as a programmer, but it does not completely automate the entire process of like writing programs. So I think it will like automate some of those tasks. But for example, and I've never even heard of someone even conceive of this idea, but a large language model cannot fire up the debugger and step through it with you and then illustrate where something, a program goes wrong. Now, could it do that in the future? Sure, maybe it could, but that's still like, there's tons of things like eventually AI could do this and it could do that, but right now it does not. It doesn't do it bad. It just doesn't even attempt to do it at all. Next, I need Need to update the validate function. That's why that's passing. I think if you told the AI, set the breakpoint here, the variable is this, it would understand. I give you meaningful troubleshooting response, even if it can't literally operate the debugger. Yeah, that's the critical thing. Because you can always say like, oh well, the AI is smart. It can hypothesize about how to do this thing, and it like understands stuff because it can give you a sequence of tokens. But at the end of the day, it's still not doing the task. Or like with Git or something, you can say I have this complex merge operation to do. How do I rebase these commits or something? And it can, throw back tokens at you, but you can't. Like a lot of people are, worried about getting replaced by AI, and maybe we will eventually automate it, but it's premature to say. It's like taking your engineers and like firing all your engineers because you have a manual on how to do the work that the engineer is supposed to do. It's still not doing the work. You need someone to actually execute and follow the instructions. Now with stuff like AI agents, it is getting close to that point, but I think it's not yet been demonstrated in practice whether, there's a lot of cases where the task is so simple, you can just do it yourself. Until managers or CEOs are prompting the AI to generate entire code bases and working software for sale, there will still be engineers. A lot of fluff will have jobs eliminated, though. Yeah, maybe it is really it is like scarily good sometimes. So I think it's naive to say like it can't automate a bunch of these tasks, but I think you'd have to, like, for example, getting it to competently operate a debugger. There's still a bunch of like you need to set up the I/O pipes. Like you need a way to pipe information to and from the debugger into the AI. James Goodrich says, slash me wines, but unnecessary looping is fun. In a debugger, you mean? It's blocking and will handle waiting for space. Removing the loop and directly calling put could simplify the code, reduce unnecessary looping. Use blocking and will handle waiting for space. Are you talking about an improvement to this code? The use of a array list in loops, where the size is known beforehand, for example. Or are these AI suggestions? In blocks sessions, subscribe regions methods. I'm running out. Yeah, I'd have to look into that. Maybe that is stuff like that might be a decent micro optimization. If a list is expected to be large, initial capacity could reduce reallocations. That's a good suggestion. For the most part, I kind of just I optimize whatever's empirically the slowest thing. There's probably a ton of optimizations that I could do like that, but I probably unless they have a big improvement, then I probably will never get around to them. Maybe there's too much for chat. The debugger has two outputs, right? A breakpoint trigger and the contents of the watch window at the most basic level. Seems like you could pipe that. Does it have two outputs? It depends on the debugger. I'm sure a lot of sophisticated debuggers have like many outputs. And theoretically you can hook all that up, but it's one of those things where like there's a difference. Of course, engineers, like the reason you pay engineers is to get them to plan and think about how they would build stuff. But we've been talking about AI for so long, and there's all these people who are like, oh, we could do this with AI and that with AI. And for business people, the response is like, okay, do it, make it work. And they're like, oh well, we just have to do this and that and improve this thing, and it's still, time is ticking away and it's not done. It doesn't work yet. And a lot of I still frequently try AI prompts and I'll get back like internal server error. So until I fix all that stuff, then which is kind of amusing. It seems like the easiest thing to fix. DeepSeek R1 using Eater, which can see our code. I mean, just generally, what would you tell a large language model if I was trying? What would you tell a LLM if it was trying to use the debugger itself? I don't know. You would probably just say like, spin up the debugger and figure out why this program is broken. Why does it crash? And then I can just look at the outputs for you and automate it and figure it all out. The issue I see with trying to get an AI, assuming generative AI, to operate a debugger is that token generation isn't really the input side of a debugger. Yeah, I mean that's I think, a significant limitation. And it's another area where, like, people keep saying, like, AI is going to replace developers. Like, okay, sure, but AIs write extremely buggy code, more buggy than humans. So it's going to crash from time to time. So how do you, or even if the code's perfect, sometimes you have, like, you rely on a library and there's a bug in the library, or there's, something's not specified right. So you have to, like, step in with a debugger and see, like, where does it deadlock in practice. Or, like, attach a debugger to something running in production, or, investigate all kinds of weird issues. But right now, like, AI, there's no, at this point, it's, from my understanding, it's not even that AI does it poorly. AI just doesn't even attempt to do it at all. And I'm sure someone will say, like, you could use AI agents or something, but I think for the most part that like, once you start using those, the results are pretty garbage. Non-AI software was supposed to replace QA in operations decades ago. Marketing makes these claims. They're best ignored. Yeah, I mean, AI is going to change things significantly, but a lot of the world is still going to march on. I've used AI for prototyping, but you still have to know a fair bit of programming concepts to direct it properly. It often goes off the rails. Yeah, and the times, like, the times when I'm blown away is when I say, generate the code for, like, merge sort, and, like, do this small variation on it or something. But in the times when I've, like, what I really wanted for is to ask it to operate on an existing code base. Right now, it's not particularly great at that. Game Dev Chat says, good evening. How's it going? programming bug error message. Header. Reminded me of Terraform's a bug in the provider caused this crash. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Was there something on my screen about that, or is this something you're working on? All right, my screen. My changes to the validation function update. My updates to the validation function, I think, are working. All right, this should make the tests fail now. All right, as expected. What's your favorite way to catch off by one errors? That's a good question. I guess they'll manifest in a bunch of different ways. I guess if you can, this fastest way is just change it by like +1, -1, and then often I'll just do that. Like, of course, I always try to understand the program, and I only write code that I think makes sense. And then, but if it doesn't work, and I'm like, seems like an off by 1, I'll just do a bunch of random like +1, -1, -2, whatever, just to see if randomly adding and removing +1, -1 if it suddenly works and I don't expect it to, then I'll take the time to figure out and like convince myself why. Why does it work when I make it like +2 or something? And then I'll, I guess worst case, draw it out or something, or testing in a production. That's also a good choice. The code alignment is interesting. Yeah, it is. It's pretty absurd. On a bigger monitor, it's a bit prettier. And also, I just use the default. It's I guess 8-space indentation, which is a bit too much. All right, that might work. Nice, that works. It is now working with the updated character width values. Is it C? No, this is Java. This is infinite loop. No, it's just it's a loop with a value of, I think, 100,000. It's part of my fuzz testing suite. Is the goal of a small business to optimize income on time spent? I guess that's a good philosophical question. I guess people create small businesses for a number of reasons. That is one. That is one potential outcome, to optimize income on time spent. I mean, technically, like if you just talk about starting a small business will probably lose money when you first start it. So depending on what time scale you're measuring over, that goal is disputable. I guess the main goal is more independence and a higher potential for long-term income. But if you say want to make as much money as possible in a 6-month period, a regular job is probably the way to go. How are you liking modern Java tech? I'm not even sure. There's a lot of, you mean like Java language syntax or like the tooling around Java? I guess in both cases, I'm actually not super, I don't really experiment that much. I haven't, I have, like for profiling this program to try and debug it, make it faster. I have used like some profilers and stuff. But other than that, in the stuff that I've been doing, I haven't really had to. There's a lot of like stream iterators and stuff, and I think some of the newer Java is trying to be more like a functional language. And personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. A lot of it, I think, is fairly hard to read. Your memory must be exploding right now. Maybe. I don't see any explosions though. Income is important, can be the downfall. Well, the growth curve of a business, many businesses will lose quite a bit of money. Like some businesses are just an experiment. You start them out and then you do the experiment and you find out that they don't, the business doesn't work, it's not profitable. Then you pack it in and try to minimize your losses. Wouldn't a prudent person do all of the things to prevent business failure and all of the things to maximize success? Otherwise, it's an expensive test guess hobby. Yeah, I mean, that's not wrong, but it's like, it's almost like a, shouldn't everyone just make $1 million to not be poor? The answer is yes, but it's easier said than done. The process of building a business is like the solution space is there's too many things that you can do, and also the world is changing constantly. Like anything, if you talk about like business plans and raising money and all kinds of stuff, like the reality of doing that today is different than it was 5 years ago, and it's different than 5 years before that. I've seen enough Java memory consumption memes. Yeah, it probably is. I probably could take a look at how the memory is being used, but for now it seems all right. It's just that optimizing for as much money as possible might not be the best long-term goal. Stepping less in moments might bring you more downline. Risk management, if you're running a business that's not backed by rounds of investment. Imagining independence, if independence makes you choose non-optimal customers, isn't that anti-business survival? You mentioned independence. If independence makes you choose non-optimal customers, I don't know. The question doesn't really make sense. If you're if you're running your own independent business, if it's a business, an incorporated legal entity that you control and own, it's independent from other people. And if you don't want to do that, then you can work under someone else's business, but you can't do. There's no way to do both. Well, actually, if you try to do that, the tax authority will consider you a personal service business and then tax you differently, which is basically where like people just incorporate a company and then they go work in a regular 9-to-5 job and try to claim the tax benefits. You have a customer who makes you feel dependent but is lucrative. Customer B is independent and makes you less money. So independence might make you less efficient. That's not. I guess feeling of independence. Yeah. My comment is definitely about legal independence. So like the ability and authority to operate as a legal entity. So that comment about like feeling dependent. I mean, like if you're doing a consulting company, well, in any business, the reality is that like your customer is your boss, but the difference is that ideally you can have multiple customers, and if a given customer behaves in a way that's like really inappropriate, you have the option of firing your customer. So like feeling. I don't even know what that would mean. Like if you have a business, you are dependent on your customers. If you don't derive revenue, then you'll go bankrupt. And a lot of times it's not. I would say if you're making decisions about like you should be desperate to satisfy any customer demand that comes to you, except if the customer's doing something illegal, or if they're like actively harming your business, or for example, if they come to you and say, hey, we're going to pay you for all this work, and they have a bad reputation of ripping people off and not paying them, then you might want to refuse that customer. But the comment about feeling dependent or independent, I'm not even sure what that would mean, because you are dependent on your customers to make money. Otherwise, you go into business. Just like our post about dead internet theory. And when you I want to salute all the bots in the chat. Yeah, I saw that. I think it's kind of funny. There's all kinds of memes and theories and stuff like that out there, but the fact that even on that, like, it's not I can kind of see the COVID warnings, because maybe there's some danger there, but like the danger of thinking that there's bots on the internet, like that everyone knows that there's bots on the internet, and the fact that they're so aggressively it's a conspiracy theory. I just thought that was amusing. What is the purpose of a small business if independence is just a legal context and not a matter of feeling that way? I think well, I mean, your feelings in that context are kind of I mean, the feelings are irrelevant, because if you are an independent legal entity, then you have the legal authority to operate as an independent business. So feelings don't come into the equation at all. And if you feel that you're getting too dependent on a customer, you can get new customers, you can fire the customer, you have the legal authority to do whatever you want. So yeah, I mean, that's a small business in a legal context is just about that. Miss Jess, you're a bot? I knew it. Got Robert to make a pink theme. You're a powerful bot. Yep, it's all these corporate bots trying to subtly influence the world, slowly shape public perception. Whatever Clippy says. Yep, he will be our new master. Your rejection of job offers sounded like emotional decisions. Cubicle isolation, abuse towards contractors, not coldly rational, profit maximizing. Profit is one thing, but the ability to, like, the legal authority to operate independently is a different thing. I mean, it's more like the opportunity, and possibility to maximize profit. Because if you work for a company and the company does well, then, or if you individually do something really good for the company, you may not necessarily get compensated proportionally. If you work for yourself, you can you're in total control. What happened to taking a walk? I said if the streaming setup doesn't work, then maybe I'd go for a walk. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to resolve the issue with the laptop. At that time, I thought maybe it was a hardware issue, but it turned out it was just a unattended update that failed. I would like to take a break and change up the content a little bit, but I'd like to get the next milestone on this. The whole point of this refactoring arc has been to speed up the performance, and the performance is still bad, but I'm getting quite a bit closer to having that. Even just right here, once I get this validation done, then I think I might be able to delete a bunch of code. I feel like B2 into H is a therapist bot. Yeah. I know a guy who developed commercial real estate and had a small helicopter and a huge house. He lived alone and had unflushed $23 million in the bank. That's a lot. He should hire you to flush his toilets. That'll be $1,000 per flush. I was a teenager. He wanted to hire me to open the mountain of envelopes he'd get for his real estate transactions. I noped out after seeing the toilets. Oh, I'm confusing. Both of you have a green icon, so I gotta pay attention to the username. Yeah, I think for some people to get to that, amount of money, you've got to be totally focused on your craft. In my networking around and knocking on doors and trying to get consulting leads, I stopped by a it was also like a real estate. It was just like a small office of this woman who did some real estate stuff, and her office was absolutely filled with like papers. It was like a nice office with furniture and stuff, but it was like a hoarder's place. And she said she was not interested at all in my consulting offerings. And that was back when I was testing to see if there's any market for like building small websites for people. She went on to explain that she deals with like banks and they bring her real estate deals and stuff. I guess the purpose of a small business is to make rational survival decisions. Robert said there's also independence. Well, there's the more significant thing is the reality of independence. Like, you are allowed to make your own independent decisions if you have your own business. And if you work for someone else, if you work for someone who's an idiot, then you could, you can suggest that they do something differently, and then they can just ignore you, and then the company fails. Rumors are that small business work much harder than employees. They take huge risks and possibly more servile to their customers. These are like those are broad ideas that sound like they're from a textbook or something. He was a hoarder too, total genius. Talked one time about how to manage risk in the stock market. There's a reason some of these guys make millions. Interesting. What was stock trading advice? Chat. Why no rap? Not sure what you mean by that. Like, is the chat not displaying right? He died in his 50s. Unmarried, no kids, rare cars in the driveway. Filled with rats. Wow. All his estate got liquidated. Yeah, the human condition is can be rough. From my perspective, for working in a small business, self-service, also in the industry, I think freedom and independence is a great thing. It comes with a bunch of responsibility. Yeah, I mean, there's always the hope that you can figure it out better than your competition. Rat cars, that's a cool thing, I guess. He was trying to explain to me a very complex strategy for mitigating risks in multiple stocks using futures at certain trigger points. Didn't really understand. Yeah, some of that stuff can get pretty complicated. Trying to explain. Oh, some people like and crave responsibility, so owning your own business is the only fit if it's the way you work, or even less paid than a normal job. Normal job might be unbearable. Robert, do you have magical powers, or at least think you can try casting a spell? I need your help with something. I very much doubt the potency of my magical powers, but I can try. Doesn't even have to be a proper spell. Cast. You need help casting a spell. I've never had that request before. It's an off error, isn't it? Yeah, I just updated the updated how the initialization of multi-column characters works. I have a real bad migraine coming on. Can you banish it, if it please? Chat, you can try too. Sure. I guess I'll cast. I will think the thoughts to cast a spell to make it go away. I don't know of any spell recipe. I don't know. It seems like a good thing for ChatGPT. Maybe ChatGPT can give you a spell. Let's see. I don't know. There may be some environmental things you can do too. I don't know. Barometric pressure. I think that's one of the things. If there's a storm coming. If you have the skills working for yourself, it's better by far. Yeah, and I think it also help if you have if you had lots of starting capital. Like even if your business was not good, I'm sure there's people out there who inherited a fortune and then started a restaurant, and then the business lost money every year, but because they had so much money, they just they enjoyed running their own business. Robert suggested that a small business isn't optimized for quality, but expediency. Did I suggest that? don't know, some of your comments are a bit strange. Isn't optimized for quality, but expediency. Migrainea expellis. I think this will work better. Hopefully. Aqua Drincus. That's a good one too. Yes, you did use use the example of big consulting firms, which hire lots of cheap interns. Oh, okay. Yeah. I would say that's more on like the customer side. Okay, you see. So for that suggestion, my suggestion there is not about small business in general. Like there's a million types of small businesses, but specifically for consulting companies. But also it's more so on the customer side. Like when you start your business, you would like to, as a business owner, you would like to have the best people possible. But from what the customers want, they just want like, cheap results fast. If for specifically a consulting company. Bit past the stage of water helping. That's too bad. I get actually I have a bit of not a migraine, but a bit of a headache right now too. The weather's gotten colder in the last few days. When there's big temperature drops, that always gives me headaches. Your own videos talked about the low quality of your customers who weren't looking for the best. So they wanted wanted Ivy League bros. If they're failing, they want a cheap consultant. Yeah, I mean that's not the original premise you said about small business being for expediency. That's too broad of a statement. My businesses were ISPs and software companies. Quality was the main goal for being competitive. Ibuprofen Relivia. $560 a month for migraine prevention injections. Wow, you must have a significant migraine affliction. I didn't get migraines until this year. Ibuprofen is the winner for me. And light exercise. Yeah, it might be like inconsistent vascular restriction or something. I think exercise opens up your blood vessels. Your video suggests that being an easily accessible but not highest quality resource that meets a business gap would have the best chance. Yeah, in the context of consulting, I think that would be that's a very high level general heuristic. Do all Canadians sound like you? I don't think so. I've been told that I have a Canadian accent. I don't perceive it though, because I guess here in Canada we watch a lot of American media. But I guess probably a lot of Canadians do. Although we have extremely high immigration in the last few years. So if you come here, like if you go to Toronto, like if you go to downtown Toronto, the train station, the majority of people there are from recent immigrants from India. So they don't sound like me at all. Google AI account 1 says beep boop. I'm very thankful for our Indian immigrants. Made the best takeaway curry. The naans were double the size. Yeah, we've had, well, I guess we've had fairly diverse restaurants around the university as well. Every kind of every kind of ethnic food you want is around the area. Although I actually haven't been up to the University Plaza in years, though. I think the last time I checked the U Waterloo subreddit, and some people there were saying that they have a homeless shelter, or at least at one point there was I think especially during COVID, they put like a homeless shelter super near there. So then there were like a bunch of people like who are hoarding stuff and stacking garbage quite near to the university. By the way, did your renting situation get resolved, or is it still in progress? Remember discovering your channel through those videos. The current state of that is there's a hearing. The next N13 merits hearing is on October 6th, where we already had one hearing. I think it was June 26th. That we were about to call a witness, and we ran out of time. We got through a bunch of material, but there was no conclusion. There was a conclusion for some tenants. Some of the tenants won on a technicality, and the remaining ones, are going to argue our case at the next hearing. And I think theoretically there could even be 2 more hearings. So we'll have at least one on October 6th, and there might even be another hearing in the next year. I think if you went on campus, you'd get mobbed now. Too famous. Yeah, I did the. I have that video that I posted. Is the University of Waterloo the loneliest university? And for that one, I actually went on campus and invited people. Did my first meetup. I was curious to see how many people would actually come. There was about 20 people who came to the event, which was interesting. I had no idea what kind of attendance I would get. So you can't win as a building. All tenants there. All of you get decision by court. So some some of the tenants got their case dismissed on a technicality that only applies to them. But I think in aggregate, there's facts of the case that will be relevant for everyone. So yeah, I guess the technicality that got the other people's case dismissed doesn't apply to the rest of them. I like the end of that video. Yeah, it was I got some. There were some positive comments on there that liked the artistic aspect of it. Maybe in the future I'll do, if I get around to it, I'll do more like that. Good luck with the case. Yep. I mean, no matter what happens, it'll. If I get evicted from here, then it's. I'm kind of indifferent on it now. They already lost at the building. The landlord lost at some of the other buildings where he's doing this, because he's doing this all over. Really cool to see the snow. We don't get that here. How things work. Yeah, it is. I guess when you live here during a winter, you get kind of used to it. But if you come from like a really warm climate to like it being in the middle of a snowstorm. It is kind of like otherworldly. The sound and the ambience is also different. In that video, the ambience I picked up is not the greatest. The microphone I was using had a very high noise floor, so there's quite a bit of hiss on the audio. All right, that that completely implemented, I think, the the new character width algorithm. I love snow and the way it sound treats the environment. Yeah, it is. It's interesting how much information is communicated in the sound of stuff, in the sound of ambience. You can, if you algorithmically analyze like random sounds from an environment, you can mathematically calculate a lot of different qualities about your environment, like the geometry and something that I thought was very surprising. What's his name? Tom Scott, I think, has a video about the premise of it is that you can tell the difference between hot water and cold water, even though you probably don't realize you can until you hear the sound of cold water being poured and hot water being poured. It does sound remarkably different, and that's not really something you'd think about until you actually hear it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. I think good musicians also have a good intuition for I don't know how much a given sound or beat can kind of it can remind your subconscious of a certain type of environment. Pay a lot of attention to sounds. Definitely my favorite sense. Yeah, I think you said before you go to raves. I've gone to a few clubs a few times. There's a lot of stuff there's a lot of stuff about the environment. It's not really I don't know. It's too expensive, too crowded. Don't go to raves. Friendly with rave culture. Musician. What kind of what instruments? Mostly vintage analog synth, but also played bass. Also played drums. Yeah, when I was a teenager, my I guess for a small period of time, I had ambitions. Thought maybe I'd be a musician, learn how to play guitar well. But then I kind of was never super. It just takes an incredible amount of work and practice to be good at it, and it's so competitive. It's just an area I was not quickly came to the conclusion that I'm not as competitive as the other people are in this domain. Does take practice, but if you don't mind being not famous, you can still play for fun. Yeah, I guess that was why I was not super into it. It's just it kind of always felt like work, even if it was just for fun. But writing computer programs, though, that's always fun. Now you're famous for it. Oh yeah, forgot about that. Why did I pre-calculate this? Harith Rayan. It says, hello there again. How's it going? Do you worry about sitting for too long, having negative health impacts, or do you have countermeasures we don't see? From my streams, I'm only sitting for about 2.5 hours or so. I don't really do. I guess I have historically done some longer streams, but sitting for 2.5 hours is not too bad, I don't think. Well, I thought maybe that would, I could just go all the way, but I'll have to take another look at that later. Oh, well, that's decent progress for tonight. I'm happy that I got that adjustment working tonight. Oh, actually, high resistance keyboard switches. Oh, I guess that still didn't work. All right, well, I think I'll leave it there for tonight. And I guess we'll be back tomorrow for day 130. I bet he does some crazy workouts. Wearing the fox mask. Yep, you bet. All right, that's it for tonight. Talk to you later, guys.